Do you suffer from anxiety? I'm talking about chronic anxiety and stress. I'm not talking about someone who is new. Like if you are new to anxiety or you're trying to get information about anxiety, I've got other videos for that. This is not the video for you. This is for people who are sick and tired of struggling with anxiety. You've done exactly what your doctors have told you, but yeah, you may feel a little better, but you're still controlled by anxiety. This video is a two-part series. Part one is setting the expectations. What are the expectations you should have? What did you expect your life to be? Does your life have to be controlled by anxiety for the rest of your life? The answer is no. I'm going to give you the answer right now. But then you're probably wondering, well, why is no one telling me this information? That's what I'm going to go over. And I'm going to also give you the right questions, how to confront your physician, how to choose a physician. Some people, they need a combination of Western medicine, of pills first, drugs, then add on the cognitive behavioral therapy, psychotherapy, herbs, nutrition, diet, and right. So you should have a physician who is open-minded to referring you to other healthcare practitioners. It could be other alternative, what's called alternative, right? Or just other types of therapy. If they're not, then are they really looking out for you? In my opinion, they're not. And that's why you're watching this video. Let me go through some additional data. So do you ever feel like, man, I'm doing the right things. Why am I still anxious? Like you've done the therapy, the medication, you've done both, and they help partly, but it's just not going away. Your life is still controlled by your anxiety. Well, there's something missing, obviously. And I know your physicians may be telling you, oh, no, there's nothing missing. It's just in your mind. It's just in your head. So you may feel like on the outside, you look composed. You look like nothing's wrong. Your work, your plan, you cope and you push through, but it may take constant guarding, over planning, or avoidance. So on the outside, people may look at you and they're like, oh man, you look normal. What do you mean you suffer from anxiety, right? Well, that's because you do the work. You plan, you cope, you guard. That's what people see on the outside. But on the inside, your body still feels tense, tired, restless, and unsafe. You may be better on paper. Like your physicians may do blood work and they say, oh man, your blood work's perfect. There's nothing wrong with you. You should not be feeling anxiety. Have you heard that before? Most of our patients say that to us because their physicians aren't listening and they're still unable to sleep deeply, relax, and trust calm. This does not mean you failed. You did not fail. Like everything you've done actually is good. Those are good habits. That's why you get some partial relief, right? Some of the treatments may help, but not enough, right? Your body matters. Knowing the tools does not always make your body feel safe. Your work was real. So it's not your problem. It's Western medicine. The gold standard for treating anxiety is crappy. It doesn't help anybody. That's the problem. It keeps you functional, but it doesn't restore you back to you being you. And I'm pretty sure that's what you want to do. Your work was real. So a limited result does not erase the effort you put in. Your effort was good. If you didn't put in the effort, guess what? The medications will work even less. Most people think medications are doing majority of the work. No, 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 no. It's you that have been doing the majority of the work. Talk about placebo. A lot of times the medications are placebo, regardless of what the research says. More than thoughts. Anxiety affects your sleep, breathing, digestion, tension. I know I'm going out of order. Okay. Doing it intentionally. Okay. The plan may be partial. Your treatment plan may be partial. That's one of the problems. If your physician, your medical doctor is closed-minded and they only think the gold standard of psychiatry is the only way, well, that's your problem. That's why you are where you are at. That's why you need a new physician. You deserve a fresh look, not shame, dismissal, or just use your coping skills. Have you ever been told that? Oh, hey, just meditate more. You just need to relax. Take your pill and relax. You ever been told that? When better is not well enough. So ongoing anxiety can still look like real suffering. Let me know if you feel this, right? You feel like you're always on. It's like your brain never shuts off, right? It's like a low grade alarm. The fire alarm, it just feels like that in your head. And then crashing afterwards. You get through the day, you push through the day, but at the end of the night, you're just, nothing's left. You don't want to talk to anybody. You just want to plop on the couch. You want to try sleep, but you light sleep. You don't get restful sleep. You wake up tense, exhausted. You feel like you have a smaller life because you live a life of avoidance because your anxiety is controlling you. And your body doesn't feel safe. Your mind understands, but your body doesn't believe it. You don't feel like you. You feel flat, disconnected, or emotionally numb. We hear that a lot. Patients that are struggling with anxiety and their physicians don't listen to them. They just keep on giving more medication, more antidepressants. Yeah, they use antidepressants for anxiety. You probably already know that. Some of you may be taking antipsychotics, and it's just numbing you down. You're like a mummy. You're just going through life, coasting through life, but you have no real enjoyment of your life. That's what the medications are doing. When you tell your physician is going to say, oh, but that's the gold standard of treatments for anxiety. Everything else is not double-blinded study, random controlled trials, blah, 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 even though you feel like crap. So completely understand. If anxiety still limits your sleep choices, it deserves attention, even if your score improved. Your psychiatrist, your physicians, your family doctor may have had you fill out a survey, right? Because that's, in essence, how they diagnose you. There's no real chemical test, no blood test to test how the severity of your anxiety. It's all done subjectively. I'm going to jump on my soapbox just a little. Any physician that says Chinese medicine or any other type of medicine doesn't work because there's not enough double-blinded, random controlled trials, that's a bunch of BS. It's because double-blind studies and random controlled trials are not done for those things because they cannot be patented. Only medications can be patented. Why do people want to patent things? To make money. And so the best way to make money is to have you take their pill for the rest of your life. Because if you realize the gold standards don't eliminate your anxiety, they don't help your body eliminate your anxiety. You have experiencing that. You are the test subject, but science ignores you because you were not in a random controlled trial. You personally were not in a double-blind study. So your input is not science. That's what they're thinking. So what's missing? You're missing a whole lot of things. Western medicine and psychiatry is only focused on neurotransmitters, what's going on in the brain. But in reality, your whole body's connected. Sleep, pain, trauma, digestion, hormones, medical issues, medicines, caffeine, alcohol, cannabis, all of these can affect your anxiety or cause your anxiety or make it worse. Care may have been too short, generic, inaccessible, or hard to use in real life. So a lot of times it's generic. Every person with anxiety, there's only about a handful of medications that psychiatrists can prescribe for anxiety. Can you tell me that every person is the same? Between you and your sibling, you probably respond to medications differently. We're all different human beings. Shouldn't your treatment be customized for your body, not based on some clinical study of people that don't respond to medications like you? I'm not saying clinical studies are not good. I love clinical studies, but you do not live and die by clinical studies, or literally you will die because of clinical studies. Real life outcomes: sleep, energy, relationships, purpose, freedom, and feeling like yourself. So a better match is panic-focused, trauma-informed, exposure-based, and body-based work. What I like to say more is someone who can help you. A team is never one person. I am not saying my clinic, my team, myself as a Chinese medicine practitioner, that I can cure people by myself. No, that's not what I'm saying. It always, 100% always requires a team effort. Not all TCM practitioners are like that. And guess what? Not all physicians are like that. Most physicians are not team oriented. They're team Western medicine oriented. They're not team you oriented. So you need to find a team that is you oriented. So what you want next. This is probably what you're asking for. You're asking for that care fits your real life. Or maybe you didn't know to ask for this. This is what you should be, right? You want to be heard. You want someone to know your whole story. You want to be taken seriously. So when you tell your physician, hey, I've done the cognitive behavioral therapy, I've done the psychotherapy, I've done all the medications you've tried me on, I'm still stuck. What's next? What else is available? What your physician says next should determine if you stick with that physician or not. If they say, hey, there's other things, I don't know anything about them because I wasn't trained in them, but I've had other patients that have had great success with it, you should look into that. Your physician is a keeper. But if you have a physician that says, hey, there is no other clinical study, no other therapy that has been double-blinded study, random clinical trials done. There's no other treatments. I'm giving you what has been clinically proven. You should run as fast as you can away from that physician. That physician is not looking at you, is not hearing you. All they care about is research. Again, I love research. I'm a biochemist. I love research. But if a physician is pigeonholed that if it hasn't been researched, it's not medicine, well, they're not living in the real world, and they're 100% guaranteed aren't caring for you. They only care about their ego. So this goes to other practitioners as well. There's TCM practitioners that think that way as well. I'm not saying physicians are bad. Hey, my sister is a physician. My brother-in-law is a physician. Two of my best friends are physicians. I love physicians. I play tennis with physicians. But in every field, it doesn't matter Western medicine, Chinese medicine, there's bad apples. You want a plan that fits your body, real life fit, honest trade-offs. What I like to say, real life studies, not in a research study. Research study, the participants are held in a controlled environment, which means it's not their daily living environment. Let's say that you are a participant in a clinical research and they ship you off into a building, 5-story building, and they have a lounge, they got food for you, they make you comfortable, bed, sauna, all this stuff. But it's not your daily living. But when you do the research, that's what the environment they put you in. When I was at University of Texas in Austin, when I was doing my bachelor's in biochemistry, pharmaceutical companies, they would pay college students to go. And you would have to, my friends would tell me, you would go in there and live for 3 to 5 days. You could not leave their facility. That is what a research study does. It's in a controlled environment. It is not in their daily life. That's why, although that information is valuable, I'm not saying it's not valuable, it is valuable, but I find what's even more valuable is people living their real lives. This is what clinical studies should be, people living their real lives and then getting the treatments and then observing the results. Yes, but this type of real life study is not as controlled. So that's why scientists will poo-poo these results. That's why physicians, when you tell them you're feeling like crap, even though you're doing everything they're telling you to do, and your blood work, your scans, your brain scans, they all look perfect and normal, but you're telling them, oh, I don't feel normal, they disregard you. That's the reason why. But the goal is more freedom, not merely a lower score on a questionnaire. Your physicians will give you a questionnaire, and if you do better in the questionnaire, they're like, oh, hey, you're cured, but you feel like crap. So the goal for you, I'm thinking, is you want more control of your life. So how do you measure the progress? Progress should make your life feel bigger. This is what I would do, and this is what I help our patients, and my team currently helps our anxiety patients. This is what we help them do, right? We want them to feel safer in their body, less constant bracing and guarding. That's why people with anxiety have tight muscles, especially in the neck and shoulders. So one of the progress that we want them to notice is, do they feel safer in their body? Number two, do they recover faster, right? Because when you're all anxious, your body's all stressed out, your immune system drops. And that affects every aspect of your health, not just your mental health. Number three, can you have a life of more choices? Do you find yourself being able to show up, attending more activities, more events, right? Reconnect. Are you able to reconnect? Are you able to sleep, eat, move, work, and relate with less fear in charge, right? And here's a cool one. Imagine more. Are you able to imagine more with your life? Or do you feel your life is so confined to a small square box? That's what people with anxiety feel like. Is that box getting bigger? Or are the walls of that box starting to go down? These are the things that we want our anxiety patients to be focused on. Not some blood test, not some questionnaires, real things that really impact your life. I bet you most of your physicians don't talk about this. So what should you ask in your next appointment to your physician? Say it clearly. I did the standard treatments. I did all what you told me to do, but I still do not feel well enough. Or just be honest, I still feel like crap, and see what your physician does. How they respond should dictate if you stick with them or find someone else. Ask what is missing. Hey, I feel like crap. what else can be contributing to this? It's okay if they don't know. No physician, no practitioner knows everything. I don't know everything. That's why I always like to team with other physicians, with other practitioners. Remember, I said it's always a team approach. It's never one person. I love working with our patients' medical team. Number 3, ask for a better match. Is there a more targeted approach for what I experience? If your physician tells you, hey, I'm giving you what the research says works, you should tell them, well, obviously it ain't working for me. What else do you got? What do you have that is more customized to me? You'll notice this. Medications are never customized to you. Medications are customized to a type, a group of people that they studied. And they're trying to put a square peg in a round hole. Medications say, oh, you are either a square, a triangle, or a circle. If you don't fit perfectly in one of these 3 categories, don't worry, we'll get a hammer and we'll hammer you into one of these categories. That's what medications are. Number 4, name what you minimize. You got to be honest with your physician. If you weren't honest, hey, can't blame the physician, right? You got to tell them, hey, your sleep's terrible. The side effects from the medications are terrible. My pain, I'm getting pain, trauma, substance, exhaustion. You got to tell them everything. You got to be honest with them. Again, that doesn't mean the physician's not going to lecture you and berate you. I'm sorry. I'm going to just apologize for them if they do that to you. There are a lot of physicians that do that to their patients. Number 5, define your outcomes. You tell the physician what you want. Don't let the physician tell you what your results are. One thing in our clinic, we ask the patient, what are your goals? I don't want to assume what you want. I want to know exactly what you want. So you tell them what you want. And based on what you want, that is your measuring stick, not some random generic questionnaire. Your questionnaire should be also customized to you. That is another sign if you have a right physician or not. Does your physician customize your progress tracking to you? Because what you want and what another anxiety patient wants may be completely different. Why are they using someone else's goals and putting it on you? That makes no sense. Even their questionnaire is not customized to you. You see why your treatments aren't working, even though you follow their advice? Number 6, seek another view, a second opinion. If your physician doesn't pass through these 5 questions, if you can't check them off these 5 questions, hey, find another physician. Stop sacrificing your health. Yes, there are physicians that are open-minded, and yes, they're very hard to find, but you got to start asking these hard questions to them. Of course, I got to give you a disclaimer. Otherwise, YouTube, Google is going to shut me down. Okay, do not make medication changes alone. Only talk with your physician that prescribed it to you or change to another physician. If you need urgent support, seek urgent help, right? Do not do this by yourself. And if I can repeat this again, this is a team effort. It's team you. When I say team, I'm not saying other people are making decisions for you. We all are here to support you. It's not the doctor's team. It's not my team. It's your team. You are the captain of this ship. And if a physician tries to take the captainship away from you, fire that physician. I don't care how many degrees people have. In medicine, the patient is the captain of their own ship. And don't let anybody tell you otherwise. So again, your mindset change. You're not asking for too much. You're asking to feel well enough to live, not only survive. And so this is part 1. Part 2, I'm going to go over some of the things that my team has done, some things that I've personally done for our patients who suffer with anxiety. I'm going to go over some research. Some of you love research. Some of you are probably going to ask me, where's the research? Okay, I've got that. But I don't practice based off of research. I practice based off real life studies, real life results. So if you are like, hey, Jimmy, I need your help. How can you help me? How can I learn from you, right? Well, you're in luck. I created a anxious stress guidebook. It's my anxiety guidebook. And in it, I'm putting some of the things, some foundational things that myself and my team have taught our patients that come to our clinic and learn how to nourish their organs, restore their health so that their body can manage their anxiety and regulate their anxiety and hopefully to help their bodies eliminate their anxiety, right? You need a foundation. Just like you build a house, you need a foundation. So if you want this guidebook, you got to comment the word peace. My team will send you a link where you can get free access to my anxiety guidebook, right? Comment peace.